All right, welcome everyone. We're going to do a little practice today using a wall. So if you're using a mat, you'll want to set it up perpendicular to the wall. If you'd rather not use a mat, that's totally fine as well. And you just want enough space at the wall for your body to fit in front and for your legs to be able to extend up. We're actually going to start though, not with the legs straight up the wall, but with the legs bent. So when you're ready to set up, here's what this is going to look like. You're going to lie on the floor perpendicular to the wall. We're going to bring your body so that your thigh bones can be straight up and down, and your shin bones can be more or less horizontal. And ideally, we should be able to still feel spacious in the low back and around the hips. So you can see what you're able to set up here to be comfortable. So we got about a right angle here at the knees. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then another right angle, more or less, happening here at the hips. Feet are on the wall. We're going to start by just taking a moment here to feel. So yoga is really a self-inquiry practice. So we're taking time to really pay attention to your inner experience. Starting by feeling the sensations where your body is supported. So touching the floor, touching the wall. Notice any more internal sensations such as pain, tightness, hunger, cold. Notice your breath. And the state of your thoughts. And tune into your feet on the wall and just notice, have you rocked onto one corner of the foot or the other? Like, even though we're not standing on the floor, you might see, are you able to connect into the bottoms of the feet so that you feel about equally connected to the wall through the heel, the base of the big toe, and the base of the pinky toe? And then with that connection, you might think about even lifting your toes away from the wall, spreading the toes and placing them back down so the toes are a little bit more spread on the wall. See how that feels. You might see if you can keep the 4 smaller toes connected to the wall and lift just the big toes. And here you might notice what happens. So on my right foot, I'm noticing quite a lot is going on in the rest of the foot as I figure out how to do this. My left foot is much more on it today. Then you might bring the big toe back down. Can you keep the big toe grounded? Lift the other 4 toes up off the wall. What does that feel like? Going back and forth a few times. And in this position, since we're not supporting ourselves in standing, sometimes you might notice things going on, like what's going on in your calf, in your shin as you're lifting your toes. What's going on in the thighs and hips and the abdomen, the breath, the jaw. All these are places where sometimes we'll feel some tension or embracing or gripping, or even flat out helping them with the movement, where we maybe don't need those parts of the body to be involved. And while we can quiet those parts of the body, more importantly is just noticing them as signs that, oh, something about this is hard. And then, is there a way I can do this where I have a little more ease, where I don't need all that extra stuff to be going on? So you're going to let yourself rest. Sometimes as we come to rest, we notice, oh, hey, that's interesting. My calf or my hamstring or my hip flexor was involved in that. And now that I'm not doing that, it's able to relax, right? That's curious. So those are patterns that often will show up at other times, not just in this particular position, in this particular movement, right? So now we have the toes lightly spread on the wall. We're connected into the base of the big toe and the base of the pinky toe. You're going to keep that going on. You're going to lift your heels away from the wall. So you're doing kind of a calf raise here, but you're not lifting the weight of the body and you're not balancing on your toes. And so you may notice when you're doing this movement here that other things are going on. So just see, do you stay equally grounded through the ball of the foot, or as your heel comes up, do you want to roll somewhere else on the foot? Are you able to keep your toes spread, connected, and relaxed, or are the toes kind of gripping and trying to figure out how to support you as you come off the wall with your heels? So you're doing this little practice here, a calf raise, but not so much weighted. And then you're going to notice, what are you feeling as you do this? What else is happening in your body? Does this feel easy, or is this really challenging in some way? And there's no should. This is just about uncovering the patterns in your body. I'm going to come back to rest, heels on the wall. And then we're going to take the arms a little more out to the side, and you're just quietly, little by little, going to walk your feet over to the right. So you're coming into a little bit of a twisting motion over to the right. Walking back to center and walking over to the left. You're going to see if you can use your feet here on the wall to support the legs. And just move in a range that feels good and where you're able to really feel the pelvis just rocking side to side. So if I keep going here because of the constraint of the wall, I might start shifting one hip up towards my armpit. So it's not about making the biggest twist. It's not about feeling a big stretch anywhere. It's about feeling into the connection between the foot movement, what's happening then in the legs and hips, and then what's happening in the pelvis, the low back, maybe even the rib cage. And how is that all controlled by the movement of the feet and legs? And after you've gone a few times side to side, you're going to come back to this starting position, and then we're going to take the legs straight. So for a lot of us, when we take the legs straight, we might feel like we're actually further from the wall than we want to be. So if that's you, totally fine to push up or just scoot your body a little bit closer to the wall and come up. Sometimes when we do this posture of legs up the wall, we're really focused on getting as close to the wall as possible. And I want you to know that you don't need to do that. In particular, today we're going to be doing some movement here. So if you get really close, and in order to be there, you find you're rocking your low back way down into the floor and you're flattening out that little curve in the low back so you don't have any space there, you might in fact then just wiggle yourself a little bit further away. So we want to be comfortable. We want to feel like the wall is supporting the legs, but we also want to feel like we have a little bit of space here because we're going to do a little movement. First though, you're just going to relax. Allowing your legs to be heavy. Letting your breath flow easily in and out. So I have a little space here between my feet. Heels are on the wall. The first thing I'm going to do is just pick the right leg up off the wall and then place it back down. And I'm going to notice what I did to make that happen. Did you have to press your left foot strongly into the floor to lift the right? Or sorry, into the wall to lift the right? Did you rock over onto one hip or the other? Did you brace through the abdomen? Are you able to keep the abdomen relaxed? Are you able to keep the other leg fairly relaxed and just pick your foot up? And try both sides. Maybe one is easier to get the heel off the wall. Maybe the other side is really hard. It's not about being perfect, right? But see if you can notice what your patterns are and then minimize any big extra movement or bracing that you might be doing in order to be able to lift the heel off the wall and have that stability. So some of us are going to stay here. We're just going to work on reducing the gripping and bracing as we lift the heels. If you're able to lift the heel fairly easily, then you can see how it feels to lift the heel and cross it all the way over the left ankle. So I lifted the right foot up, brought it across the body, crossed it over the left. If that felt good, you're going to let that right heel slide down the left leg only as far as it naturally wants to come. Now, if you end up right around the knee and it's uncomfortable, you can make an adjustment for comfort. Otherwise, you're going to let gravity do the work. And then we're going to think of this right leg as a gate with two hinges. One is where the ankle is resting on the left leg. The other is here in the left hip joint itself. You're going to take that gate of the right leg, swing it towards you, towards the midline of your body, and then away from you towards the wall. And you're just going to find a nice, easy movement back and forth. Just noticing what you feel as you go. And along with that, you're going to notice, are you rocking your pelvis as you move your hip? Are you bracing through the abdomen as you move your hip? And can you quiet off of some of that work or some of that extra movement? When you're ready, let the right leg be still. Notice what you feel. And then we're going to reverse the path. So you're going to slide that right ankle all the way up to the left ankle first. Then you're going to find your stability as you uncross and bring that right heel back to the wall. Sometimes when the right heel comes to the wall, that's where we realize that we've been bracing because we then let go of that extra work. So just notice if that happened. There's nothing bad that you're doing if you're doing some bracing, right? This is just about getting to know your patterns a little better so that you can shift them in a new direction so that you can feel different. So as you're resting with both heels on the wall, notice if the two sides feel different. And then you're going to see, are you able to lift the left away quietly? If you are, you're going to go ahead and cross over. If that feels good, you're going to go ahead and let the left ankle slide down the right leg only as far as it comfortably comes with gravity. Then you're going to think of the left leg as a gate with two hinges. One is the left ankle, the other is the left hip joint itself. You're going to let that gate come towards you, toward the midline of your body, and then away from you towards the wall. And as you do this movement in the left hip, you're going to notice what else is happening. So what do you notice around the pelvis, the abdomen, the breathing, the jaw, the shoulders, whatever else might be happening? Notice what the right leg is doing. See if you can let this movement be as simple and isolated as possible in that left hip. That's it. And you're going to let that left leg just come to stillness, just noticing how it feels being here in this position. To come out, you're going to reverse. So you're going to slide your left ankle all the way up to your right ankle. And you're really going to feel what's happening in and around your left hip as you uncross and bring the left leg back to the wall. Notice any shifts as you come to both heels on the wall here. Taking a few breaths to just notice what happens. And then you're going to bend your knees again, walking your feet down the wall. From here, it's often easiest to just roll onto your side and then to press into the hands to come up so that you're able to come free of the wall. So I love that little series for working on movement in and around the hips and the feet, for feeling the connections through the feet, legs, and hips. Sometimes this work can be really helpful to unravel stuff that might be going on in the low back. And that being said, it's important to work where you're at. So if you're having any discomfort, discontinue and look for something that works better for you. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments. I'd love to answer those for you. I hope you have fun exploring this series of movements. Take really good care, and may we all be balanced and well. Thank you.